Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Onyinye and I'm a fibre artist and storyteller. Thank you so much for the wonderful reception that I received on my last talking video. I really didn't expect so many of you guys to see it and resonate with it, but I have to say it's been really incredible seeing you guys share your stories and on the comments and things like that, and just your experiences. I think it's made me feel seen and understood for maybe the first time since I left my family, so that really means a lot to me. As you can probably tell from the title of this video, today we're going to be talking about resilience and coming out of fight or flight mode. And we're going to be doing that whilst I work on a knitting project. Before I get started, I wanted to remind you guys that I'm fundraising for top surgery. Now that I'm taking the steps to get my referrals and looking at surgeons that I'm thinking of going to, I'm having to do a lot of the maths, and I've realised that I have to save quite a bit more than I initially realised. As you can imagine, that's really disappointing because it means it's going to take longer than I thought, and earlier on in the journey than I thought I was. But I'm still trying to hold out hope that I might be able to get it done by the end of this year. And I would really just appreciate if you guys continue to share and donate to the GoFundMe. My link is always in my videos and it's on my website. It's basically everywhere. So if you're able to, I really appreciate if you could just share the link as much as possible and donate when you can. It means a lot to me and it's something that I really need, so thank you so much for everyone who has supported me so far. So this is actually my second time filming this video. The first time that I filmed this, my microphone died halfway through and I didn't realise until I was editing the video, which was very frustrating. The first time that I was filming this, I was working on the blue scarf that I'm making for my girlfriend that I said might have Cappy on it. And this time I'm working on an actual art piece for my business. I'm working on a photorealistic jumper. I'm not really going to say too much about it. If you're on my Patreon, you've already seen my sketches of it and everything, so you will know what it looks like. But it's kind of at its ugly stage right now because I'm working with 19 different colours, and I kind of, with this jumper, I wanted to have more of a paintery feel to it. I think as someone who does paint but is so new to it, one thing that I really admire about a lot of painters that I see, or rather the painters that I really enjoy, are painters that use colours that no one else sees as being there, but then when they use it, it all comes together and the finished product still looks like what it is meant to look like, if that makes sense. So they use like colours that you wouldn't in your wildest dreams think of as being there. So that's kind of the atmosphere or the vibe that I'm trying to capture with this jumper, with all the tangles, yeah. So I'm using a lot of different colours, and because you can't see the full picture yet, it just looks like just blocks of colour, and it just doesn't look like anything right now. But I'm forcing myself to work on it today and after today because I've put it down and I've kind of just given up a little bit on it, but I am really excited working on it, and I do feel like it's gonna come out really cool, so I'm making myself carry on working on it, and I am excited for you guys to see the finished product. So, but because I am working on something more complicated, expect to see me taking breaks, or maybe, you know what, you might not even see it because I might just edit it all out, but I am going to be taking breaks very regularly to count my stitches and compare it to my chart that I made that I'm working off of. And yeah, it's just going to be a bit more of a complicated process today, but we'll work with it. As you can probably tell from this video and, you know, my previous video talking about being estranged from my family, I had a difficult childhood. It's not really something I like to go into too much detail about just because it's private, but I think I spent a lot of my childhood battling issues that I don't think any child deserves to go through. And I feel like I spent the majority of my childhood, if not all of my childhood, in a state of fight or flight, and just constantly surviving to get through things. In my last video, I mentioned about how I felt like I had this cloud of worry that has been following me ever since I was about 10 years old, and I realized that I was gay, and I knew the implication that it would have on my family and my relationship with them. And it's weird because I only recently realized how difficult that had been for me, and how much of a heightened state of anxiety I had been in when I was still living at home. Like a lot of other people who have gone through difficult or traumatic experiences, I find it really hard not to downplay just how bad they were. But I think one thing that I can agree on is how much of an effect it's had on me. It's only now that I've left that I'm able to see how long I've had to push through traumatic events without even really processing them in order to just keep going. This is a mild example, but I remember when I was 16 and I came out to my family, and I knew it wasn't going to go well. Truthfully, I told them partly because I was hoping that they would let me see my girlfriend by some insane miracle, and partly because I was really scared all the time, and I was tired of just feeling scared of this thing coming out. In the days and weeks following that, I remember that my parents would take me downstairs almost every single night, and we would have hours-long arguments about how it was a sin and how it was wrong, and it would just go late into the night, and it just left me feeling exhausted and defeated. And I remember I'd have to wake up the next day, get ready, go to school and learn about something random like quadratic equations, and just have to pretend that it didn't feel like my entire life was falling apart. A lot of other things happened, but I remember at one point our priest came over to our house and blessed the house one evening, and apparently that was completely unrelated to me being gay, by the way. I ended up taking everything back eventually, just because it was exhausting. It was really tiring having to do that day in and day out, and I guess in a way it worked in their favor because yeah, I did just take it all back. And I feel like my teens were full of experiences like that. Times where I was dealing with so much at home, times where I had to advocate for myself to professionals who were supposed to look after children, times where I just had to go about normal life acting like as if my life wasn't falling apart. And like I said, even now I find it so hard not to downplay everything that I've been through. Even though the severity of it has been affirmed to me by those close to me, by mental health professionals, by different people, it still feels like I'm making a big deal out of it. Even though if any other child went through the things that I went through, there wouldn't be a doubt in my mind that it was wrong. But regardless of all of that, I can still agree that it has really affected me, and I can see that. When you've spent so much of your life fighting to survive and keep going, it becomes really hard to know how to turn it off, because at one point the ability to turn off your feelings, to not let what people were doing or saying get to you, was the reason why you were able to just keep going and keep moving. I think of all the times since leaving that I've thought to myself, why do I feel so exhausted? Nothing's happening, you know, my workload is manageable, but I just feel like I don't have anything left in me. Now, of course, a part of that for me is going to be mental illness. There are times where things are harder for me, and that's just how it is. But a very big part of that is going to be the fact that I'm processing so much that I wasn't able to process before. I spent so much time pushing through, not really processing any of the really traumatic things that were going on in my life. And now that I am out and my body can see that things are a little bit slower and a little bit more safe, the force of everything that I've been through is hitting me, and it's a lot. It's been 4 years for me, and I think I can say that I'm at a point where it's not really debilitating, but there's a lot that my body and my mind has to process, and issues that I didn't really have the space or capacity to face that I do now. And I think for me, because I don't have that family support to rely on, or like that family structure to fall back on, it's really hard for me to justify allowing myself to rest and relax and just take things easy. My girlfriend always says that I'm the worst type of sick person because I just try and pretend that I'm not sick and just keep going and push myself to work until I physically can't anymore. But in all seriousness, it's something that I recognize that I need to work on, because that combination of your body processing everything that you've been through whilst you simultaneously don't allow yourself to rest or give yourself space or time to start to feel safe and process things, it's just not a recipe for success. One thing that I really try to remind myself is that as much as resilience is a really important quality to have, so is the ability to be vulnerable and have compassion for myself. It also helps me to separate myself from what I've been through and my life. I think about it like this: if there was someone who had been through everything that I had been through and had come out on the other end, wouldn't they deserve to rest and relax? Don't they deserve to feel safe now? And so to learn how to rest, I try to listen to my body's cues. I mean, I'd be lying if I said that things were nice and easy for me now, because it's just not true. But the truth is, I'm not in that unstable, unsafe and turbulent environment anymore. I don't need to ignore my body's cues that I'm tired or mentally worn out or sick. I'm in an environment where I'm safe enough to take things easy when I need to. And it's weird because it feels like your body should just know that sort of thing, right? And it does. And that's why I feel so physically exhausted. But the mind is a whole different ball game. When you've been in fight or flight mode for so long, you have to actively try and get out of it at first. And for me, I have such a problem with hyper independence and feeling like I only have myself to rely on. So I've noticed that I find it difficult to just make my mind switch off, to stop doing work and just rest. But then again, I know I'm gonna have to make a conscious effort at it, at least for now. That means having hobbies like reading, knitting, playing games, and actually making myself do them because I deserve to rest. That means having a time that I stop all types of work for the day and actually sticking to that time. It means taking things off my plate when I feel tired, instead of just working myself to the bone. And it means reminding myself that I'm not alone and that I do have people who care about me and support me and will help me if I need it. It's a process, but I believe that learning to rest is as much of a skill as learning to push through things. And I think I'll get there eventually. That's it from me today. I hope you guys have enjoyed our little chat and watching me struggle with this project. It's surprisingly hard to knit a complicated colour work project whilst talking. If you didn't think it was, it is, yeah. When I talk about this topic or topics relating to this, a lot of what I say is just my feelings and my thoughts as I think and feel them. So I do know it doesn't make for the most structured video, but I still want to share because I think a lot of people can benefit from the lessons that I had to learn the hard way, and I want to make people feel less alone. Feel free to say hi to me in the comments. As much as I've complained about this jumper that I'm working on, I am really excited to get it finished and show you guys. Okay, real quick, because I'm feeling generous and also I want to reward you guys for getting to the end of the video. This is what it looks like so far. I don't think anyone is gonna know what it is, but that's okay. It looks like just a bunch of colors now, but it's gonna look really cool. Anyways, I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.